Welcome to Black Cat. I'm Tony, that's Samra, and we just watched 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple, the latest movie in the 28 Days, 28 Years Later franchise, whatever you want to call it. And we're both fans of this franchise, I would say. The first movie, 28 Days Later, I have said that I think it's the best infected zombie movie of all time. I know they're technically not zombies, but it's my favorite. I think it's the scariest. You are not a horror fan.
I am definitely not.
You're not, no. But you enjoy the 28 Days Later franchise. You love the first movie partially because of who stars in that movie.
The one and only Cillian Murphy, yes.
A young Cillian Murphy, a handsome Cillian Murphy. But that first movie, it's so scary. The infected, the rage virus, I think is fascinating. The grainy texture, the handheld, just the entire vibe of that first movie.
I mean, you could just say the window scene too.
The window scene.
Unforgettable in the first one. Where you just see that one pop up, the one infected guy.
Oh, yes, the jump scare.
You can never forget that scene.
The eyes. Yes. I remember seeing that as a kid, and it terrified me. So I have always thought it was funny that you, not being a huge horror fan, enjoy the 28 Days Later movies. We saw 28 Years Later, the first of this little trilogy going on in theaters, and it was a bit spooky, but you handled it well.
Yeah.
This movie, The Bone Temple, was a difficult movie for someone who's not into horror. It is very tense. Yes. We're going to talk all about that in this episode. We will do a spoiler-free section, and then we will let you know before we get into spoilers. With that said, before we officially get into this, you might be wondering, if you're already subscribed to this channel, when the hell did I subscribe to a Black Cat movie podcast? I don't remember doing that. We've rebranded. This used to be Max Movies. I'm Anthony Mac Pesta. That's my middle name. We have rebranded. We, as a couple, have taken the next step in our relationship, which is starting a movie podcast together.
Of course.
Something that we've been wanting to do for a while. We talk about movies. We said, screw it. My solo videos are still up there, but we're doing this together now. So subscribe, drop a like, leave us a comment, help support this channel as we hopefully get into a consistent rhythm of uploading. But just wanted to clarify to anyone who's like, when did I subscribe to this channel? Please stay subscribed because the content is only going to get better. But as I said, we are talking about the Bone Temple today. Samra, how was your experience in the Bone Temple?
In the Bone Temple? Yeah. Well, let me just say that I'm going to be completely honest. Did I look at the screen the whole time? No, I did not. But overall, I loved it. I think I loved it more than the first one, especially. Well, not 28 Days Later, but the first one.
The first of this trilogy, yes. 28 Years Later. We both enjoyed 28 Years Later.
Yeah.
Neither one of us was able to rewatch it before seeing this, which was unfortunate. It's not available anywhere, guys. It's like you need Netflix Premium. It's a joke. I wanted to watch it. I think I would have liked it more on a rewatch, 28 Years Later, this first one, because I was a little confused by just the tone shifts in that first movie. I was a little bit mixed on it. It wasn't what I was expecting. With that said, knowing what the movie is now and going into it, knowing that it's a coming of age story, it's a little bit more straightforward. I think I would have liked it more. The ending of that movie leaves you wondering, what the hell are they going to do moving forward? We both hated the ending.
Yeah, not fans.
I know some people loved it, which to each their own. We didn't like it. But we were intrigued enough to where we knew we had to see the second one. And I will just say, I've seen a lot of people already say this, but if you left 28 Years Later thinking that you hate the ending, you don't know what the Jimmies are, it looks silly, give the second one a chance. Because we'll get into it more in our spoiler section, but the Jimmies are fantastic.
Incredible.
Evil sons of bitches. Jack O'Connell was not lying when he said he's playing a right cunt in this movie.
Yes.
One of the most villainous roles I've seen in a long time. They're great in this. The tone of this is so dark, so violent. As someone, as we already said, who isn't great with horror, not the easiest movie to watch. It's very tense. There's some incredibly uncomfortable scenes. If torture and gore are tough for you to watch, as the veteran horror fan here, I will say it made me uncomfortable. It made me tense, but it didn't cross the line to where I was like, this is too much for me. As a more casual horror fan, it was a bit tough to get through, but you got through it.
I have to say, I am so thankful to have a boyfriend who is such a big horror fan, because it's so nice to just be able to look over to him and say, please let me know when the scene is over so I can continue watching this movie. But again, with that being said, I did still enjoy it overall.
Yeah, it's definitely, not to toot my own horn, but I think it's nice knowing when, if you watch enough horror movies, you can tell when the scary thing's going to happen. Even casual viewers can. And so there were a couple different times where I looked at you and I was like, I think something's about to happen. You might want to look away. And, I'll just give you the little tap when it's okay to look again. And yeah, the buddy system worked for us.
Yeah.
Spoiler-free section, in my opinion, I always like to keep short because when I watch reviews, I've already seen the movie. So basically what I would say is, like, do you recommend this movie to anyone? I would say yes.
Oh, yeah.
Especially if you liked the first movie in this trilogy, definitely watch it. But even if you were mixed on it, I would say go ahead and give it a chance because it's tense, it's heartfelt, it's heartwarming at times, it's very dark at times. I think they do some interesting things with the infected, with Ralph Fiennes returning as Dr. Kelson. The story sets itself up in a way where I'm really intrigued to see where the third movie's going to go. This doesn't fall victim to being a sequel in a trilogy. The second movie in a trilogy can be tough to land the plane on that one. This felt like an appropriate side story and stepping stone to a third movie. I would 100% recommend this. I loved this movie. I'm
really glad that you touched on, how it's just, you're going to leave this movie just itching to see the third one. Yeah. Because it's just, not to spoil the ending. We're not going to get into that yet. But you're going to be so excited for the third one after watching this, I think personally. So
yes. And so with that being said, let's go ahead and just move into the spoiler section here. Now, you have been warned. We're about to spoil 28 years later, the Bone Temple. And actually, we have a little rundown here. I'm going to skip this just for a second because, I'm going to skip towards something that we're both already hinting at. If you're in line for Cillian Murphy, stay in line. Stay in line. Yes. You hear his voice first thing in the movie. She looked over at me right away as Cillian Murphy's #1 supporter. And I was shocked, to be honest with you, because I know you had told me that you had seen that he was in this movie. Yes. But I swear I had seen that he's not in this movie. And so I believed you, but I also was like, well, I'm going to need to see it first, See
it to believe it. Yes, I get it. Yeah.
And then you hear him right away. And I was like, maybe that's it. He does show up in the movie. We'll save that for the end. But if you're in line for Cillian and you're someone who doesn't love horror, but you love Cillian Murphy, as Samra does, getting through the violence, the torture, the jimmies of this movie is 100% worth it. You do get the payoff.
So worth it.
With that being said, let's just start off by addressing the jimmies. Neither one of us liked the way they were introduced. No. To kind of give context, at least in my opinion, I didn't love the way that they were introduced at the end of 28 years later because I felt like they were a little too cartoonish and over the top for a franchise that I've always considered very scary and, just chilling. To change it to these like Power Rangers jumping and flipping and almost making a mockery of the infected. Didn't know what to think of it. How did you feel when they started doing their backflips at the end of years?
I felt like I was in a trance. I felt like someone hijacked the projector room in the theater because it was, like you said, such a big tone shift. I was just like, I don't know what's happening. I don't know. Is this the final cut? Did they forget to delete something? I was also not a fan at all. And I think when you and I talked about this after watching that movie, it played a pretty big part and role in my review overall of the movie. I remember thinking back, I was like, okay, well, if that ending wasn't there, my rating would have been a little bit higher. But I do also remember falling down the rabbit hole of, especially after seeing all the tweets on Twitter about, okay, the context, why are they dressed like that? Oh, the jimmies, the name. But still, even after learning about that, I was still a little bit iffy on that.
It's such a wild curveball to throw, especially tacked on to the end of the movie that did not have that vibe at all. And what's kind of crazy is this movie doesn't even have that vibe. They never felt as cartoonish as they did at the end of years. And it's funny because these films were filmed back to back.
Yeah.
So I can't imagine that it was like, oh, well, the audience are saying they didn't like that, so let's change this. I think I don't know what the hell they were on when they made the ending of that movie. I know some people loved it. Shout out to you if you did.
Yeah.
I didn't hate it, but I felt like we're focusing a lot on 28 years, but it's important because obviously this is the sequel. It felt like a parody. I felt like I was watching a scary movie and it took me out of the tension a little bit. Let me tell you, man, this movie, The Bone Temple, the tension does not break. Even when there are funny moments, comedic moments in it, the big Jimmy, the main Jimmy, our boy Jack O'Connell, terrifying, blurring this line of being kind of funny but also horrifying all at the same time.
Yeah.
You mentioned walking out of the theater. the way he's just so nonchalantly and calmly, tells Ralph Fiennes at one point that he's going to rip open his intestines and feed them to him. Even that family at the beginning of the movie, he says, like, one of them asks, like, are you going to leave? And he says, yeah, after we kill all of you.
It's just such a smooth transition. I was telling him, it's like he's ordering something at a restaurant. It's just so, and it's almost like your brain has to kind of, wait, did he really say that? Am I hearing that correctly? It's such a phenomenal actor, and we knew that after Sinners, especially. But
Remick, shout out to Remick. At one point in this movie when Jimmy, what Jimmy Crystal, I guess is
Jimmy
what he calls, that's what he calls himself, Sir Lord Jimmy. I don't know if we know his actual name, if it was actually Jimmy or not, but when him and Ralph Fiennes are interacting for the first time in the Bone Temple, and I was just the entire time, I'm just smiling like an idiot because I thought it was perfect. The different vibes that they had throughout this movie blended together in a way that was like, I could have watched 3 hours of it. I saw someone on Letterboxd mention this, but like this movie felt like two separate anthology stories happening in the same universe that inevitably were going to collide in the Jimmy storyline that we're following with Spike, who we'll get to, and then Dr. Kelson and Samson, which we will also get to. Yes. But watching those two separate stories, knowing that there was going to be a merge, and then when it actually happened, couldn't have done it better. I was so happy with it. As two people who were skeptical of the Jimmys, seeing it executed was perfect right off the rip.
Phenomenal. Yeah.
Do you know what movie I was thinking of at the start of this movie? In the first scene, when we get the Jimmys and Spike is being inducted into their group, or he's going through their trial or whatever to see if he's going to be a part of their group.
No. What movie?
Dune part 1.
That's not surprising.
At the end of Dune, spoiler alert, Paul has to kill Jameis in a fight to join the Fremen. He has to prove himself. That's what happens in this movie with Spike. Now, he doesn't do it as cool as Paul Atreides does. He actually does it in kind of a pathetic, embarrassing way.
Almost accidental.
Yeah. And I actually think that so in this opening fight, we see that Jimmy is kind of sitting on like a little throne watching his other little Jimmys fight. And Spike, the main boy from the first movie, has to kill the other Jimmy in order to join the group. It's a battle to the death. And I think the fact that Spike in this movie is a very terrified, wide-eyed young boy, the way that he ends up killing the other Jimmy by basically resorting to like a playground, fight tactic of pulling down someone's pants and then kind of getting lucky by stabbing him in the artery really works for that character. And just like, he is like a scared boy who's just like clinging to any possible chance of life. And it sets the tone for the movie. I mean, anytime you start a movie with a kid's life being in danger and then watching someone bleed out very graphically, it sets the tone pretty well.
Definitely, especially when their cult leader is just, unsurprisingly looking at it as okay, let's wrap this up, let's get moving kind of thing. So
just the idea, because like, I don't think any of them expected Spike to win that.
No.
So Jimmy and all the Jimmys are just sitting there kind of, like they're watching like a gladiator fight, but it's a little kid who has no chance of winning, and they're really relishing in it. And again, sets the tone right away for how sick these guys are. They are Satanists, which, we might as well mention if it wasn't clear enough. And so when we get to like the group itself of the Jimmys felt a little underdeveloped in the sense that like we don't really learn anything about any of them other than the fact that they're crazy, which is clear from the jump. But the main Jimmy, the main villain, we do get some looks inside of who he is, his development, his character arc, I guess. But we learned stuff about him that I loved, because we said after the movie when we were driving home, you could have done a version of this movie where the main Jimmy is just straight up evil, sick, and twisted, and that's all it is. He certainly is that. Yes. Not saying that he's redeemable.
No.
But I think what was interesting is when he has that conversation with Dr. Kelson, and he's explaining that the reason he believes his dad is Big Nick or Old Nick.
Old Nick. Yeah. Not Santa, not Saint Nick.
Thank you for clarifying that, because I was thinking at some point, like, is someone going to ask if his dad is Santa? Because I was thinking of that. Regardless, he's explaining the scene that we see in the opening of 28 Years Later, where he's a young boy. His father works at the church. I don't know exactly what his title was.
It's the one with a V. Vigor, something like that. Yeah.
Point is, his dad gets infected, and we see him hiding in the church, and his dad runs into the church, and he's infected, and it looks like he's leading the group of infected. And so Jimmy tells Dr. Kelson, my dad's the devil. Yes. He leads the demons. I saw it. And it makes sense when you're like, okay, well, here's an 8-year-old kid who experienced something traumatic, who clearly has like some form of schizophrenia or something. Mm-hmm. He believes his dad's the devil because he saw his dad leading a group of demons, which they basically are. So I thought that was great.
Not to interrupt, but I remember, I think from that movie, not only was I think he had just gotten infected, but I think he was also, he thought it was Judgment Day.
Yes,
I
you're
remember
right.
because he was like thanking God and all that good stuff. So I think that also played a huge role.
The rapture, stuff like that. Yes, you understand, you don't sympathize with Jimmy.
No.
But you understand why he's crazy. And sometimes you can do a movie where the guy's just crazy and there's no explanation, and that can be effective. I like that we got a deeper look into him because this performance was just great. This was an awesome performance. And I think just that little bit of backstory that we saw in the beginning of that first movie, and it felt like maybe just a scene to scare you to get this franchise back up and going. It actually had relevant context to what was going to come next. So
not just an homage.
Exactly.
To the first one,
not
28 days later.
Not just recreating that craziness of the intro to 28 days and 28 weeks, but something that actually served the purpose for this next movie. And so overall, the Jimmies I thought were great. My favorite part of the movie, though. I said I could have watched 3 hours of Jimmy and Dr. Kelson. I could have watched an entire TV show of Dr. Kelson and Samson just getting high.
We have to pitch that to somebody.
Just a prequel series. What took place in those weeks leading up. Because, man, I mean, what's not to like about just two guys chilling at the Bone Temple, getting high and looking at the moon?
It's just, I mean, that doesn't sound like a fun day. I don't know what does, but
it was so funny. And like I said at the start, I'm fascinated by the rage virus. When you give me the science and just like a further look into what exactly is happening to these infected people, I'm all for it. I want to see more of that. And so when this movie basically opens up with Samson clearly having some sense of like his humanity, because he goes to Dr. Kelson needing help. Like he understands he's been hit by those morphine darts before. Clearly they feel good. He has arrows in him. And Dr. Kelson kind of can recognize right away, like, okay, you're my first infected patient. This is interesting. Like, you needed my help, and he helps him. I thought that was great. What do you think of Dr. Kelson in this movie and the last movie being this, like, pacifist? Because I remember, I think we both maybe said this in the first movie, when he freezes Samson twice with the morphine dart. I'm like, why are you not just chopping off his head right now? This dude is a 400-pound beast trying to kill you. And you're so committed to being a pacifist. I don't know, man, but the way that it developed into something which was like a beautiful friendship. What did you think?
I loved the development, and I love how it just leads to just us finding out more and more about the virus. And I mean, again, those scenes, their friendship unfolding, you can't complain about that. But I loved it. I loved it.
I was really happy with getting a full movie dedicated towards the doctor, basically, because he's essentially the main character. Him and Jimmy are the two main characters. Spike, I'll say very quickly, maybe my only criticism of this movie is that we'll see what happens in the third movie. It's clear to me that Spike is going to be a big part of that third movie. Felt like he was an afterthought in this movie almost. He was basically relegated to just reacting to everything happening around him. He doesn't really take any sort of initiative. He doesn't really have many lines even. I'm not sure what his arc in this movie is. And when you have a trilogy where you're assuming he is the main through line of that trilogy, it is interesting to have an entire chapter where he's almost nothing. Now, the performance is good. I think him falling into this nightmare that he's stuck in is fascinating. When I say criticism, keep in mind I loved this movie, so it's not ruining the movie by any means, but I could have used more Spike. What did you think of the way Spike was used in this movie?
I could have used a little bit more of him as well, but at the same time, and I know we talked about this a little bit right after the movie, I like how, I mean, it's just as real as it gets. He's terrified. He's afraid to speak up. And, you know, when the one time that the big Jimmy actually tells him to go do something and he fails at it, I mean, just seeing how terrified he is at the big Jimmy's reaction and, you know, what happens next. It's very real because and I'm not just saying this because I'm not good with horror. I get scared easily, but I would probably be doing the same thing and crying and begging to be just left alone and for salvation. But something that I did like, I liked the relationship between Spike and I think her name, Jimmy, aka Kelly, I think was her name. I think she said it at the end.
Maybe.
Yes,
yeah,
Kelly.
Probably. Yeah.
I think so. The one in the red tracksuit.
Yeah, the red tracksuit Jimmy, the one who's most friendly to Spike throughout the movie.
I liked their budding, relationship, and I'm excited to see that in the third movie.
Yeah, because they've been paired together now, so that's interesting. I think one thing that's interesting about the dynamic between Jimmy and Jimmy, Spike and the main Jimmy, we see in the first movie that Aaron Taylor Johnson as Spike's dad is, if not just straight up abusive, at the very least, he's harsh, he's abrasive, and they're in the apocalypse, so I get it a little bit, but like not a good dad. I believe he hits Spike at one point. You just call him abusive. It's easy enough to just say that. Neglectful, also, harsh, abrasive.
Yeah, and a horrible husband.
And a horrible husband. Yeah. And so when you think of that dynamic, and then you look at to where Spike is with Jimmy now as the leader of the group, and that kind of like, he doesn't complete a task and he's getting yelled at. Like, I think there's an interesting comparison there. And I wish this movie's only an hour, 50 minutes. I honestly think it could have been 20, 30 minutes longer. I think even an entire set piece with the Jimmys and Spike could have been interesting to see, just more between the main Jimmy and Spike, because there's a lot there. There's a lot of comparisons to his father. And I guess my one criticism is that the first movie is a coming of age story. The second movie very much feels like Spike is back to being a scared little boy, which is who he was in the first movie. And don't get me wrong, you said it. I'd be scared. I'm a 27-year-old man. If Jimmy came to my house, I would be like Spike. So I get it. But he does stand up for himself at the very end. So we do see that he has still learned some, survival skills. He's still capable of standing up for himself. But I wish we could have had just a little bit more, considering he is the through line, the main character of this trilogy.
I agree. And I think it's really interesting because we see him at the end of the first movie, he's decided willingly not to go back to the island. And so now definitely did not expect this. So just seeing that kind of play out, it's like, what did you get yourself into?
Would you rather be with the Jimmys or with Aaron Taylor Johnson?
Oh God.
Is Aaron Taylor Johnson Father of the Year compared to Jimmy Crystal?
I have Jimmy Crystal. I have to say, yeah. I mean, at least with Aaron Taylor Johnson, you can just ignore him and go do your own stuff, right? For the most part. Yeah, he
seems a little dopey. He's just gonna get drunk, hook up with the people in the town.
Let him do his thing.
That's my drunk dad.
They went hunting once. They're good. Yeah. They're good to go. Yeah.
I will say, I'm trying to think. There's basically zero infected in this movie outside of Samson. You do get like one or two scenes of an infected person attacking, but it's wrapped up very quickly. They don't feel like much of a threat. In fact, they're not a threat just straight up in this movie, because we even see, this is in the first scene of the movie after they have their fight, and he's a Jimmy now. He gets his little wig. He gets his Jimmy wig, which does. I wonder how they got those and like how many people have worn those wigs, how they've been passed around.
Right. Yeah. How did they make them? Who knows?
Yeah. But when they're walking out, there's an infected like right outside the building, and they all just walk right past it. And then the person who's last in line, who may have been Kelly, if I'm remembering now, just kind of dispatches the infected very easily. No one even cares.
I think it's nothing. Yeah.
Very interesting progression for this franchise, where in the first couple movies, and especially that first movie, if there's even like one infected, you're like, holy shit, this is like, we got to get out of here. Very nonchalant about the infected in this movie, which I thought worked.
No, me too. And I think this is a nice segue to talk about the new, I guess, addition to the infected in terms of their point of view.
Yes.
So we could touch on that.
This was one thing that scared you the most.
Scared me to death. And I will say right now, I was not a fan of it being like 2 minutes into the movie, like right there. But hey, at the same time, I was telling you this, I was terrified, but I think it's such a nice addition to the story and to the virus. And
so clarify, what moment are you talking about here?
So in the beginning, we see Samson. It was Samson, right? He is, there is a hunter who we both thought was Aaron Taylor Johnson at one point.
Looks like
it is not. It looks like him, but it's not. And He's just out looking for food, I guess. And he is trapped by Samson and his buddies. And we see first like the guy's point of view looking at Samson, and then it switches to Samson's point of view looking at the guy. And all of a sudden, it just hits you out of nowhere. The guy has this demon face on him. And it is just, again, I am a scaredy cat, just a little bit. But I was terrified of that face. I looked at him and I told him, I don't know how I'm going to sleep tonight because of that face. But it just, I mean, it happens so quickly. And you start to think, well, wait, why? That hasn't been in any of the other movies. What's going on? And so.
I guess we do get a first person perspective in the first movie, but it's of him running towards the window.
Sure, yeah.
I'm sure this wasn't in their plans when they first made the movie, right, so I'm not gonna like go back through and like, were they seeing demon faces?
Right, yeah.
I love this edition, and you mentioned, how am I gonna sleep tonight? You're gonna put on SpongeBob. You're gonna put on SpongeBob, and you're gonna forget about it.
And turn on some lights, maybe.
And everything will be okay. But yeah, I love, so first off, we see that Samson, we know that the alphas are smarter. We've seen that the infected in the last movie are progressing. I don't remember them trapping anybody in that last movie. I know we see them being smart, but Samson very clearly sets up a trap with the other infected, and you close your eyes, but he just straight up rips this dude's head out of his body like the Predator. It's crazy. I love like, I forget what they said in the first movie, but basically it's like steroids. Essentially, the virus is like just mutating, and that's why he's so big and strong. It's kind of badass how he just rips the dude. He's like the Predator. It's really cool. I'll take your
word for it. Yeah.
But seeing from his perspective, and they, Dr. Kelson Ray Fiennes explains that there's a psychotic. What's the word? Psychiatric. It's psychotic. Same thing. There's the physical effect, but there's also the psychiatric effect of the virus, which makes him hallucinate. And so he mentions like, we've seen babies attacked by these infected people. A baby's not a threat. What is causing them to attack? Samson and the infected are seeing like these scary demon faces on people.
Terrifying.
And their brain is being blocked, and they're angry, and they lash out and attack because they're scared us out. That's really interesting. And it's the type of stuff that I want to see in these movies, exploring the virus and what it does to people. Thankfully, for your sake, we only see this demon face once.
Thank goodness. Yes.
We only see it once. I was very scared. I said this in the movie. We'll get to Dr. Kelson more in depth, but at the end, when he's doing his little Satan ritual to impress the Jimmies,
which was beautiful.
Absolutely beautiful.
So beautiful.
By the way, if you hear a dog walking around, there's a dog in the room, so bear with us. I was very scared, and I said it to you. In that moment when Dr. Kelson is dressed up and he's trying to convince the Jimmies that he is Satan, it was right after Samson had been cured, which that scene where he's, we hear him speak a full sentence for the first time, and we realize that he is no longer, he's still infected, but he's no longer dealing with like the mental stuff of it. Absolutely insane. I unfortunately had it slightly spoiled for me on Twitter, and I saw people comparing it to Caesar in Planet of the Apes when he says no, and the entire theater gasped. Our theater did not gasp, which was kind of lame. I would have gasped, but I was so stunned I couldn't speak.
Right, yes.
I was too stunned to speak. But yeah, when we see that happen, and then Dr. Kelson is all dressed up and he has like the black eyeshadow and everything, I looked at you and I was like, oh my God, Samson's going to return. And he's going to be healed, but he's going to see Dr. Kelson with the scary makeup on. And maybe nothing happened. Thankfully, I'm glad. I would have been sad if Samson just ripped his head out. I was worried about that.
A lot.
But seeing that aspect of it, and seeing, like I said, in that first moment when he comes up to Dr. Kelson, he clearly needs help. And then the boys are just getting high together. They're just taking morphine, vibing out,
dancing. It's just a beautiful time together.
It's beautiful. They're watching the stars. They're sleeping outside, looking at the moon.
Can't get better than that.
He really was vibing out, and it was funny. And also just like, I love when a movie can surprise me. And if you would have told me that we would get a 28 years later movie where a crazy doctor in a temple full of bones is just getting high with one of the infected, and the infected also happens to be like this giant 300-pound just mountain of a man, I would have never believed you.
You didn't expect that?
I did not see that coming. So that was awesome. Dr. Kelson in general, like we said a little bit earlier, beautiful character.
Beautiful. A mastermind, a genius. I love the scenes of him going back to his little hut and just turning on music and kind of writing down all the discoveries that he made. It's just kind of like getting to be more with him throughout the movie. Honestly, I think he might be one of my favorite characters of all time. Like, it's just, I love him so much. So.
I would say he is the best character of this franchise, with all due respect to Killian. We'll see what he brings in the next movie. But he brings so much heart to these two movies, especially in the first one, but even in this one with his interactions with Samson, him being the pacifist, like I mentioned earlier, where in the first movie, I was like, dude, just kill these guys. What are you doing? Him being such a sweet friend to Samson and communicating with him, even though it's really funny when he's like, he's pointing the dart at him and then he puts it down. He's like, I'm going to trust you. And then he gets closer and he's like, I'm starting to worry you can't understand me. Like, the comedy is all situational with his character, but it's hilarious.
Yeah. Same with The Bind.
Oh yeah, The Bind. When Jimmy's just like, we're in a bind. He's like, why is that? He's like, well, I told them that you're my dad. He's like, oh, that is, yeah. And if they don't believe me, I'm going to have to gut you. He's like, that is a bind.
Yeah.
It's very matter of fact.
With those guts.
Yes. So. Very important. Very important. So we will begin to wrap up here. I do want to talk about the Bone Temple itself, and then that final scene, the final interaction between the Jimmies and Ray Fiennes. The Bone Temple, people have already talked about this, but way back when this movie, the first 28 years later, was being previewed, and we saw the poster, and we saw the trailer with these just crazy monuments of skulls. You're like, what the hell is going on there?
It's terrifying, yeah.
Like, if you had just showed me a picture of the Ray Fiennes and that monument, and then Jack O'Connor and his silly little getup and jumpsuit, and it told me, like, which one of these are you more afraid of? I'd be like, do not take me to Ray Fiennes. But it couldn't be any more different. I'm sure maybe that was intentional. I don't know. But, like, it's so sweet, this little monument that he's made to all of the people who are victims of this virus. I think one thing that we miss in a lot of zombie movies and apocalypse movies is the fact that, yes, these are zombies. They're infected, but they were human. And Ray Fiennes' commitment to that over the course of 28 years and, like, treating everyone, even if they were infected or humans, the same, putting them in this monument. I can't think of any other infected zombie movie that has done something as sweet and heartfelt as that.
No. Might be the first one, honestly.
I think it is. And even, that scene, the first movie with Spike putting the mom's skull, like, it's absolutely beautiful. I really, really love that. And then he turns that Bone Temple into Coachella. I mean, he puts on one hell of a show. Yeah. He puts on one hell of a show. They told this man, first off, Jack O'Connor didn't tell him he had to do all that.
No, he did not.
He just said, I need you to convince them that you're Satan. He said, I've been waiting 28 years later to play this vinyl and just rock out. He literally has, because the first thing that he does when he makes a friend in Samson, he's just like, let's fucking dance, dude. Like, let's
been
jam.
Dying to do it.
He's been dying. In another world, he is a huge Charlie XCX fan.
Oh my gosh, he would be bumping to 360 all the time. But
yeah, that entire sequence where he is just dancing, he like thought the whole thing through. I mean, he comes out. He has you see him creeping behind the Bone Temple.
Oh my gosh.
And he has the little like voiceover playing, and then it goes into the needle drop, and he comes out and he's just like doing all these dance moves.
Interpretive dance aficionado. He's just so beautiful with it.
He blows the drugs in their face. He's like, I'm gonna get you messed up.
It was like Avatar, Fire and Ash.
I thought that. Yeah. It literally, like, it gets them high, gives them a good time. He's climbing on the thing. He's bringing out the fire. I wonder how much, like, you have to practice to be able to do that with whatever fire he was using.
For sure. Yeah.
He must have just been doing that for 28 years.
Honestly, yeah. He's just been waiting for his time.
We're almost done, buddy. I promise.
Yeah. Oh man.
He really put his whole bone tussie into that one. I hope that was worth putting that in this video.
I need to see a Letterboxd review from you with just that.
Yeah.
Nothing else. Just
that I might. But yeah, I mean, he really left it all out there. And then I think seeing the Jimmies get confused by Ray Fiennes and Jack O'Connor. Is it Jack O'Connell?
Jack O'Connell.
Have I been calling him Jack O'Connor this whole time? I hope not.
Maybe. That's okay, though. Not. We know who you're talking about. Yeah. I also didn't catch it.
So. To be fair, and we said this right after the movie, we saw the trailer for Disclosure Day with Josh O'Connor right before this movie, and so that's why I've been getting them mixed up. If I've been saying the wrong names, my bad, y'all.
Good.
My bad.
It's all good.
But that final sequence, the Jimmy's getting confused. I love Ralph Fiennes giving like his 3 commandments or whatever, and then he realizes that Spike's there, which by the way, really good to bring that full circle where he's like, I have to take care of this boy. Like, you've been through enough. You've been through enough suffering.
And he even noticed him through the mask. You know, Spike is wearing a mask because he doesn't want to get noticed. And I wasn't expecting. He
realizes that, because he's just a scared little boy. He's shaking, and he wants to, you know, Rafe has a feeling that he knows that boy, and he sees him, and he's like, I gotta protect this kid. And so that scene was great. But then, it's so funny because he's like, I have one more commandment, and Jimmy's like, no, you don't. I don't.
No, we're good.
They're fully convinced that he is Satan. He's like, no. We heard enough from you. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's really good. They turn on him. Kelly, we believe her name is.
Kelly, yes.
Super badass throughout this movie. Clearly the most skilled fighter, I guess you would say, because she takes them all down very easily. They beat up Jimmy, not before he delivers a fatal blow to Ralph Fiennes, which was tragic. I think you could see that he was probably going to die at some point in this movie, but it was very sad for him to go out that way. And then they hang that dude up. They crucify him upside down.
Because that was Rafe's additional commandment.
Oh yeah, he wanted
after he noticed it was Spike, which this was interesting because he and I both thought. Well, I thought at first when he added that additional requirement, I was like, oh, he's gonna say, let's keep Spike here. Let me keep the boy. But no, he just turns it around and he's like, yeah, we're gonna crucify you. Jimmy.
I feel like there could have been an easier way for the doctor to get this done. He might have overshot how much aura he got through that dance. But at the same time, I mean, can't really overestimate how much aura he had there. But the Jimmys are a little confused. Kelly takes them down pretty easily, and then they take down Spike stabs Jimmy.
Yes.
Which is a good note. You see that he's still got some fight in him. They hang him upside down. Samson comes back. And when they showed him with the horns, there was a moment there where I thought to myself, I'm like, are they actually about to do this? Like, is the devil real in this franchise? Like, are they about to do this? And then you see that he's just hallucinating. But there was a moment where I was like, oh my God, they're really going to go for it.
Right.
They didn't. I'm glad that they didn't. I think it's better that they didn't. And so then we see Rafe bleeds out. Samson, what does he say to him? I don't remember. Samson says something. He says something very sweet to him. Rafe says memento mori again. I forget what.
Does Samson just thank him? I think he thanks him.
He says something sweet.
Does he?
Well, it might have been
sorry,
thank
guys.
you.
I wasn't watching half of this movie, so I'm trying to think back.
He says something sweet. It might have even just been thank you, but they kind of have a goodbye. He carries him away, and then we get to the epilogue, the final scene. Cillian Murphy is alive. He's still on the island somehow, which neither one of us are quite sure how that happened.
That's going to be interesting. I can't wait for them to unpack that in the next movie.
We want to know where the wife is. We want to know coming back. Yes. Where the little girl from the first movie is. And I'm curious as to how their life has been for 28 years on that island, considering like it's so dangerous. We know that it's dangerous. So like, how have they been surviving? How have they been hiding out there?
Yeah. And didn't they, I mean, we both thought, didn't they get like picked up and saved in the first movie? What happened with all that?
So I'm very interested to see where that's going to go. We see that he's been homeschooling his daughter. We presume she says dad.
Yeah.
She says dad. He's homeschooling her, talking about World War II, which, the Oppenheimer universe continues to expand. She's like, Dad, how do you know so much about World War II? He's like, well,
let me tell you.
But and then we see Spike and Kelly. We believe, if her name's not Kelly, we're gonna sound so silly. But
we'll add those like a correction.
Yeah, we see them running from infected. One line that we haven't talked about, but I loved right away. She goes, Dad, are we gonna help them? Dad, and he goes, of course we are.
Oh yes.
Really nice contrast to Aaron Taylor Johnson and that entire island where their whole motto is like, don't help people, no searching for survivors. The world in general in this movie, which apparently they have just abandoned this area. They're like, no one go there, no one's being saved. and then the Jimmies, obviously, were like the most cynical, diabolical version of that, to get this like beacon of hope where he's like, sorry, Apollo's moving the camera. To get a genuinely good character at the end of this movie after that really just like a brutal hour and 50 minutes.
So dark.
To get Killian, but to get a good version of Killian.
Good, hopeful Killian.
Yes, exactly. Where he's like, of course we're going to help those people. Are you crazy? Let's go help them. And so I have no idea where this third movie is going to go. I don't know what the tone's going to be. This trilogy has the potential to be honestly one of the best trilogies ever, especially in horror, where we don't really have many trilogies in horror. Off the top of my head, I can't think of any that are as cohesive as this. You get, Friday 1, 2, and 3, but those aren't really a cohesive story. Yeah, I know there's not a great trilogy to begin with, but you get like Final Destination 1, 2, and 3, but those aren't really like a through line story.
Right, yeah.
I'm sure there's a trilogy out there that I can't think of, but the point is, not only is it one of the best trilogies, if they land the plane in the third one, but it's also really crazy from the perspective of like how the tones have shifted. Like the first movie has a completely different tone from the second movie, and I don't know where the third movie is going to go. Yeah. I can't wait to see. A couple loose thoughts that I have that I want to see, I'm sure are going to be addressed in this third movie. Samson obviously is cured. Is he fully cured? How is that going to last?
I'm curious to like see more with that, because Rafe gives him pills, right? And so I'm wondering, okay, I mean, the pills have to wear off at some point. So if they wear off, does he just go back to the typical infected form? Or that's going to be
does it wear
to
off?
Yeah.
Does it like how does that work? Because I don't think you introduce that if you're going to wrap it up so quickly without any more answers. And we know there's a third movie. So where does that go? Obviously, he wrote down everything that he did. So if it can't be, if it does wear off, do Spike and Killian find it? I don't know. We see that it's heavily implied that Samson impregnated another infected in the first movie. She gives birth. They take that baby back to the island where Aaron Taylor Johnson is. Aaron Taylor Johnson, by the way, is not in this movie at all.
Thank God. No, I'm just kidding.
I do think it was interesting. I don't know what he would have done, but I'm assuming he's going to be in the third movie.
Oh, he has to.
That island has to come back into play. The baby has to come back into play. And so Samson, he's cured, maybe. Does he remember his baby? Is he going to go back for his baby? Is Aaron Taylor Johnson going to go back for his baby? Is Killian going to be protective of Spike? You would assume. Yeah, I feel like there's one more loose thought that I had.
I wonder what's going to happen. How are they going to reintroduce the woman who runs away?
That's what it was. Yes.
Who runs away, which I don't know if we ever get her name, but the pregnant woman.
I can't remember. Yeah.
Yeah.
So when the Jimmies arrive at that house and we see we should have talked about this scene a little bit. There's a in-depth torture scene. Difficult to watch. Again, as someone who's seen a lot of horror movies, it made me uncomfortable, but they cut away enough. The camera cuts away enough to where I could handle it. There are other movies that I think really almost take delight in it, and it comes across difficult for me to watch. This one I could handle. But one of the members of the family are hiding in like the attic area of the barn as it's happening. She makes her escape. I thought it was really funny, by the way, that Spike is like, take me with you. And she's like, walks over to him and then punches him right in the stomach.
Just knocks him out almost.
I can't blame her. I can't blame her.
Yeah.
You crazy ass little kid. I don't trust you.
I mean, after you see all the Jimmies, it's like, you would not be surprised if he's just trying to trick her.
Yeah, it's like, I can't trust you. The only thing I will say though, put a little pep in your step. Like, dude, go punch that kid and run. She really, they were wasting a lot of time. I felt like I was watching Stranger Things season 5.
Yes. I was so worried that another Jimmy would pop up at some point. So yeah.
I really didn't want her to die. Obviously, since she got away, you have to imagine that she's going to come back at some point. One last thing that I want to say on Spike in particular, and this is a very small nitpick, but there were moments of this film where I'm like, we know that he has skills. Like, we know that he is a skilled fighter and he has the bow and arrow. There were moments where I'm like, dude, if you don't just get Jimmy, get every single Jimmy real quick, that like when he wakes up at one point before them and tries to sneak out, I was like, dude, go slit their throats. Like, I know he's a little kid and it probably wouldn't be that easy. And like, I'm this isn't an actual criticism. It's just something that was going through my mind. So I'm like, I know that you're more ruthless than you've shown. fight back a little bit. So I'm glad that he did fight back. Again, this is where I wish maybe there would have been one more interaction between them where he does show a little fight, a little like insubordination almost to the main Jimmy. He's really scared, and it makes complete sense, but it's the only thing I would have liked to see added.
I think I agree with you, but then I also liked how, again, Kelly, which I really hope that's her name, you could tell throughout the movie that her
She's
and
protective.
the big Jimmy, they have a little, almost like a power. I feel like
she knows he's full of shit.
She knows he's full of shit, and he knows, I think I was getting that.
He knows
that she knows. And so it was almost like this, I was just waiting for something to happen, which is why I loved like the end, how it all played out. But she kind of just done with everything, and she was done with his shit. And so, I mean, having Spike be so terrified and everything kind of, I thought, opened up that opportunity to see Kelly and how I feel like she's had enough with the Jimmies. The other ones, they were kind of all really into
all in
it.
Yeah,
and she was just like,
it.
I'm just doing this to survive, which makes sense. All power to you. So yeah,
I'm excited to see where her character goes. I imagine we get more depth there too. Also, I don't know if you'll be able to answer this, but so that one Jimmy is doing the dance at dinner. That's supposed to be like the Teletubby dance, right? That's what they were doing.
Oh my god,
she was doing like a Teletubby dance. I think.
I think so.
Really sick. Really sick and twisted movie. That scene was crazy.
Yeah, they're just talking about the TVs on their tummies. Yeah. I'm like, stop talking about this children's show before you're gonna.
Lots of good situational comedy, because even after the vibes shift and Jimmy tells everyone that like we're gonna kill you, she's still like kind of dancing a little bit. Yeah, I think he yells at her to keep dancing. This movie's wild if you haven't gotten it. And I think that's all. I think that's all we have on the Bone Temple. We got for 47 minutes.
Oh my god!
This is our first podcast episode. I would say we're off to a great start.
Good job.
Yeah. If you guys enjoyed this, please subscribe. Please drop a like. Leave us a comment with your thoughts on Bone Temple. As we are just getting this podcast off the ground, we really appreciate any and all support. We hope you enjoyed this. And until next time. I don't have anything to say. We haven't thought of a slogan.
Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching.